they're jokers.
Block the video, man. Watch yourself.
Man.
Block the video.
Here, hold this.
The children, see something.
How are you doing?
Videoing.
Yeah?
Videoing.
Yeah, you having a good time videoing?
Hi.
Hi. What's your name? What you doing? What you doing?
Okay.
Yeah? How are you today? You're good?
Please don't touch me, sir.
Well, you touched me. I'm just trying to talk to you.
I don't want to talk to you.
Oh, do you want to talk to me?
I don't want to talk to
Where are
you.
you going? How about you? You good? How are you doing today, sir? Yeah? What's your name? What's up? What's your name? What are you doing? I just want to talk to you. Really? Oh, we got 2 feet. 2 feet. How about you? Are you good today? Yeah? You just hanging out today?
No, I don't hang out.
You're not hanging out? Oh, I got another one here. How are you doing? You're good today?
I don't answer questions.
Oh, you don't answer questions.
I don't answer
Why don't you answer questions? I'm just asking how you are.
How are you doing today?
I'm good, thank you.
That's nice.
Yeah? You just hanging out like your friends here today? Yeah?
It's
All
not
hanging
fun.
out.
It's a family.
You're a family. Excellent. That's amazing. So what are we doing out here today? You tell me this.
I don't answer questions.
What are you
How
asking
you
the
doing?
youngest?
Oh, you want me to ask you? What are you
Yeah,
doing today?
Where's the delegation of authority?
So what are you doing? I'm just asking, man to man. Are you a man?
What?
Are you a man?
Yeah, I'm a Moorish American national.
How are you doing?
Supervisor.
Right?
The Larry
How are you
Conference
doing?
supervisor?
Or do you want to talk to me?
Larry
Are you
Conference
the
supervisor?
leader? Who's the leader here? Are you the leader? You're the leader. Okay, what's going on today? Government says he's not supposed to be driving. We work for the government. That's our private corporation.
Yes, the corporation
What's
of the
your
city
name?
of Toronto.
Yeah. What's your name?
Well,
Is that your leader's name? Is that the leader? Is that the group?
that's my name.
That's actually your name.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I have
I'm-
the same
I'm
ID
Officer
that he
Blair.
has, yeah.
You got the same
Yes,
ID?
yes,
Yeah. You see that? Yeah. So, you've heard of the Toronto though, right? It's a municipality. You've heard of that?
The municipality is
That's
a
where we
Roman
live,
venue.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you live there. I don't.
Oh, you don't live here?
No.
Okay. Where do you live?
I live in Canaanland.
Canaanland. Okay. Well, I live in
Canaan.
Canada. And then there's a city in Canada. It's called Toronto. That's where. I live.
That's a corporation. That's why they have a corporate charter.
Oh, okay.
Did you ever look at the corporate charter?
I think something's gonna happen. Okay, just to let you guys know, you cannot interfere with anything that's gonna happen. If you do, you will be arrested.
The supervisor right here. Someone's gonna get arrested.
Driving under suspension. Oh, he was. Yes, he was. Oh, you're driving behind the wheel.
You give me a driver's license? It doesn't matter. So he's gonna be arrested. If you have a problem, then pick it up with the judge. Okay? That's all we're gonna say for now. Okay? That's all we're gonna say.
How do you do that? You can go in. No, you can't. You can't. If you want to figure one record and it's in court. Maybe you don't have to.
Yes, I'm the supervisor. I don't have it on me. You can have my badge number, right? It's right here.
I need your car. If you're a supervisor, you should have a car.
You have
I
to
don't
legally.
have a car on me, okay? So you can have my badge number. It's right
supervisor,
here.
you don't have a car.
Just take my badge number down. That's my badge. And my name is right here.
So he doesn't have a
Okay?
card.
Yeah.
need all your name?
Yeah,
You
just
have
take
an
all the names.
identification too?
Infraction?
Identification's on our uniform, sir.
Are we able to?
That's not enough, man.
That's a
Do you
public
have your?
service.
Oh, I do see that one over there. I like that one.
Well, then, you told the car.
I told I knew this was gonna happen.
You make a phone call and tell them to pick up the car. Just ask him. Why does anybody have to do a legal report? Why are you passing the drug test? That's what he told us.
It'd be good if more and more
just got
people
no-
showed up. More of us too, right?
What does it say? What does it say? Jay.
Hey, Dad, you wanna hold it for a little bit?
Taz. What's your last name, Taz?
My last name is probably all over.
Oh, okay. What name are you using today?
The name of it? The one that I have.
How you doing, Chaz? We're kind of up with it.
Little Moors. Little Moors. It's a Little Moors. Little Moors. In our uniform.
That's it, sir. You're done.
We're not doing that, all right?
You can't be doing that.
No, we're not interfering.
Stand on the roadway.
Yo, wasn't that jaywalking just now? That's funny.
Islam, Islam, peace and love to all Moors. Welcome once again to Canaanland Moors class, Tuesday the 14th of March, 217 Gregorian calendar. Today we're just gonna go right in. We had a incident on Sunday where one of the Moors out here, after leaving the town hall meeting, he got pulled over. So we're gonna cut to what the realness is of what went down, because we already know how these people do. They kidnap people. They do what it is they do. So one of the things that we want to enforce is how powerful unity is. Keep in mind that the people who were present were people who were just at the town hall meeting, right? We call it town hall meeting. People that showed up, these are the people that were there. So we're gonna let the good brother give us a little schooling about what happens behind the scenes when Moors get kidnapped out here, right? So people can get a perspective of, you know, the work that we put in, the time that we put in, and how much of an impact, no violence, no whatever, but how much of an impact nationality and birthrights has on unity, right? There's a lot more.
Islam, fams.
So yeah, just introduce yourself, and we'll just start off from, I guess, when they actually took you, and you know, conversations that you had with these people or whatever.
Okay, it's land raid on the Windy Bay. So, you know, I've had my interactions with these de facto agents, these highwaymen, And it just so happened that I had left the town hall meeting on Sunday and got pulled over. And actually, it was a couple of, because it was like a trap that was going on, a couple of conveyances, including mine, got pulled over. And ironically, the two other conveyances got let go, and mine was the one that they focused on. And so, you know, they put a scout car in front of my conveyance, another scout car behind my conveyance, you know. I don't know why, but that's how they do when it comes to us exercising our rights to travel. So, and I got on the phone as soon as which was not too far from where we had the town hall meeting, maybe less than 5-minute drive. And as soon as I got on the phone, called one of the Moors, and ironically, they showed up one by one. And when they showed up, remember, we went from 2 scout cars. By the time they took me in, I think the Moors said there were like 10 scout cars, because by the time all the Moors showed up, it was like 10. We were 10 deep. So that really befuddled them. Like, that got them more frazzled than anything, because for the most part, when exercising their right to travel, we usually by ourselves or another person. But it's just so divine that Allah was working with us that day, that the town hall meeting, in connection with the town hall meeting being just around the corner, and them just being able to just travel over quickly, really got them befuddled. Like, so after they took me in, because they'd taken me in for some outstanding thing that I'm going to kangaroo court for. I was supposed to change my address. I was supposed to notify them of my change of domicile, and I didn't, and that was the only reason they really kidnapped me. But that got handled today, and everything is okay. But once I got to the police station, the big question is how did they show up? How did you call them, and how come so many showed up, and where did they all come from? And that was a big talk in the station, that where did all this Moors come from out of nowhere? Because it just showed them the strength that we have together, and they kind of just threw them off. But they don't know that really and truly it was just a divine thing, because from the proximity of the time of me leaving the town hall meeting, and the people that were at the town hall meeting were just around the corner. So that really threw them off. And then even as far as, for the most part, when we're out in public in front of the masses, still grandstand and whatnot, but behind closed door, once you're in that station, it's a whole different dealing.
Quick question. Quick question. So, from the perspective of somebody who's sitting in the seat getting kidnapped, right? Mm-hmm. The maneuvering that they do when they're going through the motion before they put the cuffs on and put somebody down into the thing, you're saying that the things that they're doing isn't really them enforcing anything. It's more of them trying to save face.
Yeah, most definitely, because the ego is at play at this point, because we've been on the side of the road for 45 minutes, because they didn't even try to do anything in regards to kidnapping me. The initial highwayman that was there, ironically, is a Sikh who had a turban on. We call him the Turbanator. So he didn't even know what to do when I presented my nationality card. He went back to his scout car and sat there for like half an hour on the phone trying to figure out what to do. It wasn't until they figured out, okay, we got this little I gave him an opening basically, and that which is on me, but again, it's all divine. Everything's divine, because the division that actually kidnapped him is the 13th division. So even that was a sign for me to just not even worry. And the presence of the Moors put me at ease. And I was talking to my wife on the phone as well when all this was going on. So like I said, just the experience of dealing with these guys, it really didn't bother me. And that's another thing that really kind of was an issue to them, is how relaxed and calm we were in dealing with them. there wasn't no let my people go chant, nothing like that. We just okay, you guys gonna do what you're gonna do. So for the most part, they really had no standing, you know. So if them doing what they did with me kidnapping me was just to save face and just a grandstanding thing. Because once they got me and I was gone and behind closed door, it was a different story. Normally when you get kidnapped, they ask you to take off your hat. I had my toque on, and I told them, you know what? That's my national headdress. I'm not taking it off. And ironically, the toque that I had on that day was a North Star hat. If you're familiar with the hockey team, Minnesota North Stars, it's ironically changed their name, and now that team that name doesn't exist anymore. So I'm like, hey, this is my national headdress. If this guy could have his turban on as a peace officer, highwayman, this is my national headdress. No argument. My Circle 7 ring, I was able to leave that on. I told him that's religious too. No argument. It was just a whole different story behind closed door, you know. And I mean, they kidnapped me overnight. By the next day, I was out. There was no issues at all. And even the quote unquote charge they brought me in on the failure to comply, that dropped already. So again, like, and then what is it? I think they're traveling without a license, which they never show up for. So it's okay. Like, going through that was just going through the motion. Again, just for them to save face, to feel like they actually did something, but really in reality they didn't do anything. You know, and I even went to the division this morning to serve them with their own court documents with my nationality name on it, and serve them. And you know, they couldn't do nothing. They couldn't say nothing. And I think that's the most important thing, is that we remain active and moving forward when we deal with these guys. We don't get emotional, because we know what it is. We know where we stand. There's no reason to get emotional with these guys. And we just got to, again, just like they're going through the motions, you yourself as a Moor, you handle your business and serve them, put them on notice. And for the most part, I think from downtown going east, from the center of the city, from the core of the city going east, we've notified quite a few of the divisions. But going west, we haven't. And it's going to take going through maybe a couple of these incidents for them to get notified. I can guarantee you now, 13th Division is unnoticed. You know?
Yeah.
So that's yeah.
And what about the different interactions with these highwaymen compared to times before, or even from the Negro, black, colored status, like you know, even with yourself going through that before? Like, what's the difference between how they're dealing with you now that you're saying nationality, opposed to when you were Negro, black, colored and doing the We Shall Overcome or whatever?
Well, before I got knowledge itself, it was always, you know, looking at what time I'm thinking about, what time am I looking at, and when can I make a deal to plead, which is not the case anymore. I'm in my proper persona, so I'm not looking to even think about that realm. You know, I think that's the biggest thing, is that I'm not playing into their house or card games. Now I'm standing, and I'm in my proper persona, and I could speak for all I could speak for myself and present myself without any assistance of their court agents. So I think that's the biggest thing, is that, you know, they said a closed mouth don't get fed. And in the past, I defer to quote unquote legal court agents, lawyers that they have, and they do their dealings behind closed door, and then I'm just like a slave on the auction up for the market. But now that's not happening. There's no auction at all. You know, there's no market at all. So it's just, okay, sir, thank you. You may go on your way. You know, after they do their little grandstand for the masses, they'll just let you out the back door, which they've been doing since I've known myself. You know.
Islam more. Well, give thanks for that. Oh yeah, what about the Asian?
Oh yeah. So there was when I was there overnight, one of the highwaymen in plain clothes came up to me and was like asking about. So tell me about the Moors and whatnot. I'm like, well, I gave him directions to go on look up Canaanland Moors and RV big publications, and I also told him to go check out willofallah.com. And then I proceeded to question him about his background, and I asked him what his nationality was. He goes, oh, he was born in China. So, okay, I'm sure you're a Chinese national. He goes, yeah, my parents came here with K. I'm like, okay, so you, as a Chinese national, are working for a fictitious corporation named Toronto. And he's like, well, technically, I go, no, it's not technically. It is a corporation. So you are running fraud right now. And once I started talking about that, he pretty much left. He left, didn't want to have the conversation. And like I said, ironically today when I went there to serve the notice, I asked for this guy. His name is Will Law. Ironically, his name is Will Law. It was really funny. I'm telling you, this is so divine. I'm like, what's your name? He said Law. I'm like, yeah, what's your first name? Will. I'm like, really? Will Law.
Will Law.
Will Law got served today too about my name, and I also asked him specifically if he got enough information in regards to the Moors. He goes, yes, I have enough. And I told him I directed him to where the temple was, which is down the street from their division. I said, hey, we're there 2 to 6, whatever you want on Sunday, come by, which I doubt he will.
Yeah.
Very much. So.
Straight. Well, yeah, I know you had your stuff to do, but Islam, give thanks for that. Any closing remarks for everybody?
You know what? I just want to give thanks to all the Moors that were at the town hall meeting. I think one of the things that was brought up is that the town hall meeting was that for all the members we have, for the amount of we need to be more active and proactive in just when we say we want to meet up, especially for these town hall meetings. We need to meet up, regardless of what's going on. I know everybody's got their things going on in their lives. Like I had to leave the town hall meeting. That's why I left early, because I was going to another meeting, for my daughter's business that has recently started. And so I mean, we just got to make the time. People make time for what's important to them. And I learned this the hard way. From being incarcerated back in the days, I learned that about people. They will always make time for what's important to them. And if it's important if our nationality and upliftment of fallen humanity is important to us, we need to make time for it so we could actually conjugate and plan towards how we do this. Because we just can't all do it by ourselves. Together we stand strong, and that was proven on Sunday. I mean, these guys are so befuddled by the amount of Moors, and we just talking about just a handful of Moors that showed that we just at the meeting. It was like 10 deep or so. You would get a grand sheet, and you saw, it was when I got to the station, they were just so befuddled. So they wanted to inquire so much. I'm like, listen, man, you want to know? Come down to the temple.
Straight.
You want to know? Come down to the temple.
Straight up.
But thanks honest to those Moors that showed up to the town hall meeting and came to my aid on the side of the road there, and honest to the ones that also were able to take the car seat out of the conveyance and get into my wife, and so we don't have any further issues.
Oh, and one more thing. Give out that 27th letter plug quick in case nobody heard of it.
Yeah, 27.com. Check it out. That's a book I wrote based on letters I wrote my daughter while I was incarcerated. And please check it out. 27letters.com. Okay.
All right, fam. Stay up, yo. Hail up the fam for me.
I will.
All right, more.
Okay, bye.
Islam. All right, so prior to all that now, so we pull up and there's Moore's car in the middle and then them box in the middle or whatever. So as the Moors start pulling up on the scene, everybody starts pulling out their cameras and all that, you know what I mean? Start recording. And then, you know, the two that are in the back, see them on the radio or whatever, and then start hearing sirens, right? Hearing sirens, cars coming up, pulling up with the screech and everything, right? More the taping. Officer Blair, we'll call him Rick Blair, because he was the blue-eyed provocateur the whole time. He was the blue-eyed provocateur, right? Rick Blair. His name's not Rick. We're just calling him Rick Blair because, you know, Ric Flair because the blonde and the blue eyes, whatever, right? So Rick Blair's out there going to every Moor face to face, like straight invading, you know what I mean, personal space or whatever. Hey, how you doing? What's your name and all this type of stuff, you know?
Videoing.
Yeah?
Videoing.
Yeah, you having a good time videoing?
Hi.
Hi. What's your name? What you doing? What you doing?
Okay.
Yeah? How are you today? You're good?
Please don't touch me, sir.
Well, you touched me. I'm just trying to talk to you.
I don't want to talk to you.
Oh, do you want to talk to me?
I don't want to talk to
Where
you.
are you going? How about you? You good? How are you doing today, sir? Yeah? What's your name? What's up? What's your name? What are you doing?
I've been doing their try to get you to be black. You know what I mean? Try to get you to act black. Try to get you, you know, Moors are under square or whatever. Just keep filming this guy. Don't let him touch you and don't touch him. But you film him. You just get him on camera or whatever. So Islam to the Moors who were doing the recording for the incident. So they pull up. You know what I mean? They form their little, you know, section themselves off, you know what I'm saying? Everybody has their little view there, you know, police protocol BS. These guys were extremely courteous, talking politely, you know what I mean? Nobody talking about, you know, turn off your camera and shut up and stuff like that. You know what I mean? They were straight on their manners, right? You know, out of Inquisition policies, we already know how they do, right? You know, we were there for witness. We were there as his eyes to make sure that they don't try anything, you know, crazy. All right, we weren't there to try to end the incident. You know what I mean? Even though we were, you know, certain Moors were talking with certain of these policy enforcers, you know what I mean? Letting them know about the situation with regard to this individual and these guys. And, you know, how much trouble they're already in for just dealing with them how they deal with them. You know what I mean? The sergeant, you know, he came over, but his car was across the street. You know what I mean? He wasn't putting himself anywhere near this situation, right? The car seats, you know, if they're towing, they'll let you take, you know, what you need. You know what I mean? When they're arresting, whoever's there, they're getting the cuffs on them, and when they get to the station or whatever, then they're gonna give up all their goods. They allowed him to take off all his chains or whatever, you know, his phone, his whatever it is that he had on him that he didn't want them to get. He was able to give those things up, right? No search of conveyance or nothing like that. No search of him. You know what I mean? Like, he went in his own pockets and pulled out everything to give to us, right? They did jack the car keys. When he tried to give that, they jacked the car keys, which you already know why they would do that, right? Tow truck guy pulls up. So everybody leaves now. It's just the sergeant. Rick Blair, and the tow guy. So tow guy comes now, you know. Oh yeah, so tow guy, could we get the information where the car is gonna go or whatever? Yeah, no problem, you know what I mean, I'll give you a card or whatever, you know. So he's doing his hooking up and all that stuff. And one of the Moors having a conversation with him, you know, so hey man, so you know how you get this job? You contracted with them or you know what I mean, what's going on? Oh yeah, and he's just spilling the beans, right? Oh yeah, you know, we got a contract with them and you know what I mean, they call us and we come to pick up. And remember, this is not a police tow truck. This is a separate agency that does towing, that has their own private quote unquote contract. And he was specific every time to make sure that he stressed that he's contracted with the police. That's why they call him. Because our whole thing was, well, you know, if you're here to tow, then how about we just give you the money and you tow it where we say? And he was like, yeah, you know, I wouldn't be able to do that if I wasn't contracted. Right? Now, Black's Law Dictionary, police officer, one of the staff of men employed in cities and towns to enforce the municipal police, i.e. the laws and ordinances for preserving the peace and good order of the community, otherwise called policeman. So the police officer is a staff that's employed by the cities in order to carry out the municipal BS, right? The municipal BS that he was going through was breach of bail conditions for some driving crap. His conviction that made him even write 27th letters, or during the conviction, the same license expired. And then he never renewed it. So right now there's a license in limbo that's expired. Nobody has an actual card that says him on it or name, picture, or nothing like that. There's no card. The quote unquote stopping him and having jurisdiction over him is only because he keeps showing them a nationality card. He's never ever showed them a license because he's never ever had a license, because as soon as he came out, he was on this information. There was no gap in him. You know, he was denationalized in quote unquote jail. When he came out of jail, he proclaimed nationality and was exercising that as a more from that point going forward. Quote unquote, as he says, well, Noble Drew Ali said, once you proclaim your nationality, all new business, do it in your free national name. Based on the stigma that comes with the names that come out of those quote unquote prison industrial complex institutions. He said he don't want to be identified by that. He's going to proclaim his nationality. And then keep in mind again, for the individuals who are doubtful about nationality or think that you know, they're not Moors or whatever like that, he's Nigerian. Right? We keep stressing the point to all the so-called, you're black from Africa, you're Mandingo, you're, you know what I mean, Nubian, Kemetic, Israelite, whatever they say that they are from across the Atlantic Ocean. Here's an individual from across the Atlantic Ocean that came over here to realize that his quote unquote nationality over here is corporate. His quote unquote African nationality can only be exercised in its full capacity in Africa. If he's not in Africa and he's in quote unquote Canada or United States, he had to naturalize, which means he loses his nationality. This is what he knows from, you know, him being over there, doing that he's a white man over there and all that. You know, he wasn't like Mustafa Hefni arguing to be black. It was just accepted that, you know, they're going to say I'm white. Come over here, come to realize why they said that. Oh, because over there he's a sovereign. Because he's on his own estate over there. Little did he know that his estate over there transfers over here. Why? Because the Nigerian estate is under the Moroccan Empire. Remember, he's from over there on the continent of quote unquote Africa, where these people say that they came from in the slave trade. And he's denouncing that, where these people say that they come from. He's from there, and he's denouncing that to be Moorish American. Because Nigeria is part of the Moroccan Empire, so he's a Moorish subject. And ever since he started exercising on that level, right? Ever since he started exercising, like I was talking with Borg today, we're laughing at how he stay getting kidnapped. And then they set up date, and then nothing. They dismiss stuff. They tow the car or whatever like that, give him tickets, court date, nobody shows up, they dismiss stuff. So why even stop the individual in the first place? Unless you're dealing with individuals who are involved in human trafficking, where how they get paid is by how many persons they arrest or make a claim on. That's how they get paid. Just like how the school gets paid by how many are in those seats. Whether they're in the seat or not, there's a person that's supposed to be in that seat. If they're not there, oh well, board still gets paid. Right? Because it's human trafficking. No different than the sister, regardless of the situation she has with the dad or whatever like that. You know what I mean? Regardless of what situation she has dealing with these foreigners, these colonists, for them to say, well, you aren't thinking right, so we're going to take your children or your child or whatever. Right? That's human trafficking. That's international war crime. That's not them arresting somebody. That's kidnapping. The same kidnapping when people say, they kidnapped the Duchess of whatever like that, give us $50 million, a helicopter on the roof and stuff like that. Same stuff. They just don't want the helicopter on the roof and the 50 million. All they want is 10 notes in your pocket, or 50 notes, or 100 notes, or 500, or they'll tack on some fee or whatever like that. That's how they get their 50 mil, which is a ransom. Right? This is why back in the day when you watch the old Taj videos and you hear him teaching about when they say bond and all that stuff, that's a ransom. Because really, back then he was saying that they're kidnapping you without saying they're kidnapping you. But he's explaining that they're asking for ransoms. It's not fees. It's not court fees or whatever. All the funds that they're getting is for boosting their municipal quote-unquote economy or whatever. This is why the chairman, Tesba Sarbe, when we were out there, and all these people are coming out, like, because, as soon as they see, quote-unquote black people and police, it's, something's going down. They're about to ransack the car and all that stuff, or whatever, something's going on. Everybody who came out, Tesba Sarbe, hey, are you a citizen of Toronto? Are you part of this city? Yeah. I just, saw the cars. I just wanted to know what's happening. What's happening? Oh, you want to know what's happening? That's your tax dollars that's happening. What do you mean? You know that it's your tax dollars that pays for these 10 cars to be here for one individual. There's only one individual here? What do you mean? Just that guy in the car, that's all? They have all these 10 people out here for, yeah. You guys should maybe complain to your, municipal people about them wasting tax dollars. Because right now they're in the news out here talking about, well, we need to make the force more acceptable to people because, you know, there's low morale and we don't have as much people to, you know, spread around because there's so much crime and, you know, we need to change regulations for, well, if you have 10 guys dealing with one individual, if you have a jurisdiction that's, you know, 100 by 100 blocks, and you only have one quote-unquote police car for that area, but then you have 10 guys dealing with one individual, well, no wonder you guys' stuff is lopsided and falling apart. Because you can't even manage your own stuff, and they're trying to manage people. Right? And again, you know, if he had conditions of bail, right? He had bail conditions. So once you violate the bail, then your bail's supposed to be revoked. They're supposed to hold you. How come they didn't hold him? How come they didn't, you know, tell him, nah, he can't sign out on his own recognizance? How come they didn't find 500 sureties for him because, you know, he's such a threat because he breached his bail? Right? Because they realize who it is that they're dealing with. The amount of activity from different Moors around this jurisdiction, engaging these people, standing up on their nationality and birthrights at the risk of getting kidnapped or whatever like that, spending a night just because they you know, they got the cars and the jails and stuff. So there's gonna be some casualties. You know, there's gonna be ones who are gonna take it for the team. Just because, you know what I mean? It's ain't no big deal to them to get, you know, it's more a nuisance getting kidnapped. Because Highwayman knows that they don't want them in there spreading what they know to the people in there. They'll let that come from the outside. But for somebody who's familiar to that world, that has influence in that world, like that's gonna go in there and then everybody's gonna be crowding around them, just because. The question is going to be asked, why are you in here for? And when more start telling the story about why they're in there, to people who've been in there for probably the same things that these people are, you know, Moors are going in there for, and then in them dealing with Moors, they're finding out how they're getting played, Highwaymen realize quick fast that we can't keep bringing these people in here. Right? We can't keep bringing them into the body of the prison to get this information spreading like wildfire in here. You keep them at the station till tomorrow. No bringing them to the big jail and then come pick them up from the big jail, take them to court. Just keep them right there. Right? Police power. The power vested in a state to establish laws and ordinances for the regulation and enforcement of its police as above defined. The power vested in the legislature to make, ordain, and establish all manner of wholesome and reasonable laws, statutes, and ordinances, either with penalties or without, not repugnant to the Constitution, as they shall judge to be for the good and welfare of the Commonwealth and of the subjects of the same. An authority conferred by the American constitutional system upon the individual states through which they are enabled to establish a special department of police, adopt such regulations as tend to prevent the commission of fraud, violence, or other offenses against the state, not against the people. They're protecting from fraud, violence, or other offenses against the state. The police officers, so-called police officers, their duty is there to stop the state from getting injured. That's why when you go to court, it's always the state against you. It's always the state against you. Because ain't nobody that you're going against. You're going against private foreign corporations who eschewed land, who use inquisition tactics to get in the seat of power And now they're in the seat of power pretending like they're the authority. And we're coming to the realization that, hold on a second, you can't say that you're an officer because the only real law office is the sheriff. And you're not him. So now, who are you? Because clearly, they're repugnant to the Constitution that Noble Drew Ali told Moors enforced since 1913 or whatever, that they stop enforcing, which is why these people are going nuts with their statutory limited power. Because the ignorance of the people is where these people get their power from. They don't have power. Their power comes from stupid people call themselves adjectives. Their power comes from stupid people call themselves continents. Their power doesn't come from they have power. Their power comes from they know that the law enforcement is the sheriff. Other than the sheriff, the law enforcement is the people. The people are supposed to police themselves. The sheriff is a backup in case your stuff doesn't get policed properly. But municipal, state police or whatever like that, no law authority whatsoever. That's why they have oaths to uphold and defend the Constitution. They're not supposed to be defending state stuff. Like in the police powers, right? Adopt such regulations to tend and prevent commission of fraud, violence, and other offenses against the state. Why are they protecting the state? Because the state is a constitutional position. It's a constitutional jurisdiction that needs protecting. It has nothing to do with the people. Their job is to protect the state, and they take an oath to the Constitution in order to protect the state. They don't take an oath to the statutes and the ordinances and the codes that they're saying is law. If the statutes and codes or whatever are the law, then they should be taking oaths to uphold that. Why are they taking oaths to uphold the Constitution? And then even though they have an oath to the Constitution, people are still gonna come out with fezzes on and turbans and talk about statutes are law. When none of these people take oaths to enforce any of these statutes. They don't take oaths to enforce the statute. They take oaths to defend the Constitution, to defend the people's rights against fraud, violence, and all and everything else. Aid in the arrest of criminals and secure generally the comfort, health, and prosperity of the state, not the people, by preserving the public order, preventing a conflict of rights in the common intercourse of the citizens, and ensuring to each an uninterrupted enjoyment of all the privileges confirmed upon him by the laws of his country. Preventing a conflict of rights in common intercourse of the citizens, and ensuring to each an uninterrupted enjoyment of all privileges. So they know they don't deal with rights. If they approach you and you start talking about rights, automatically they're going to be against you, because they're really supposed to protect privileges. They don't deal with rights. They deal with privileges. Which is why, again, when you go to Noble Drew Ali's Divine Warning to the Nation, and he's telling you enforce the Constitution. Because that's what protects your rights. Not these highwaymen. The Constitution protects your rights better than a highwayman. Because definition told you, they're responsible for the laws and ordinances for preserving peace and good order of the community of the so-called municipality, which is a private corporation, which, you know, they don't have. It's not a community. They're private security guards. You go to a store, they have a security guard there, and if you go into the store, every aisle is a street. So they have an aisle, and then they say on this street there's olives and ketchup and whatever like that, and those are the street names. And then the juice section, that's a street name. You have Juice Street in the jurisdiction of supermarket. And they have a guy at the door making sure if you come in with a bag, you have to put your bag at the counter or whatever like that, or whatever it is that they do. Policy enforcer, security guard. So the whole time, in our intercourse with them, we're telling them, you guys know that we're not part of the city of Toronto, the corporation of the city of Toronto. What do you mean? You're in the city of Toronto. Yes, but that's a private corporation, so we're not in that. Where are you? We're in Canaanland. What? I don't know what you're talking about. This is a municipality. Yeah, municipality is a private, foreign, Roman, European corporation. That's what a municipality is. And you work for them. That's why the Asian dude went to go study after, because he thought city of Toronto is a jurisdiction. That's land. Nope. It's a private corporation, just like every other city out there. That inherent and plenary power in state over persons and property, which enables the people to prohibit all things inimical to comfort, safety, health, and welfare of society. It is true that the legislation which secures to all the protection in their rights and the equal use and enjoyment of their property embraces an almost infinite variety of subjects. Whatever affects the peace, good order, morals, and health of the community comes within its scope, and everyone must use and enjoy his property subject to the restrictions from which legislation imposes. Right now, remember, this is talking about police power, which is relative to people who like to say they have addresses and they're residents and are part of the corporate fraud that's going on. So all the stuff that they're talking about right now, enjoying his property, and that's not in a constitutional form of government. This is in a municipality, right? And they're pretending that democracy is really a form of government and you can enjoy the rights and freedoms of the property and the constitution of the whatever, when all that's corporate jurisdiction. And just like with pulling over the brother, box in. That's one of the modes of their operations. One of their arts of war is box you in order to assume jurisdiction, because it's their box that they created. And now you're in it. So they're going to assume you're in their jurisdiction. The assumption, right? For example, state plates, box you in. Right? Because the individual is under the assumption that that's their car, right? When that's not their car, that's their coffin, owned by the state. And you can get in, drive around, but that doesn't hold living entities. That doesn't hold natural persons. That holds dead people. So as soon as the state plates is on there, and that individual says that they have a license, and my license and all that stuff, you're agreeing that you're the corporate property of these individuals, which the regulations and stuff are going to apply to you because you're part of their stuff. You're boxed in. Where if you're coming from national perspective, if you're coming from status first perspective, that's supposed to be a signification to them that they don't have jurisdiction because of the lack of this. Like again with Brother Lanry, right? They pulled him over. What did he do? He called the police. Who's the police? The Moorish nation. And then they came and they were witnesses. He didn't call, they called the highwayman, and then he called the highwayman to tell the highwayman that highwaymen are violating them. Because we don't have any sheriff out here to call, right? There's no superior of these people. These people out here are strictly criminal, across the board. From the highest level, RCMP, who, when you do your research on RCMP, they were the Northwest Mounted Police, and the Northwest Mounted Police were the people who were going around murdering the natives. That's what they would say federal in the U.S. jurisdiction. RCMP. State police, that's OPP. All those people deal with is the highway, and that's it. They have no jurisdiction anywhere other than highways and, counties or whatever like that, if sheriff can't do whatever. And then you have the municipals for the cities. Top down, we're dealing with fraud, corruption, misrepresentation, malfeasance of office, color of office, color of authority, as far as the people who are called quote unquote law enforcement. Actually, you can even go on Brother Jed on his YouTube page. He got videos dealing with the highwayman in his jurisdiction. That he's dealing with status and all that stuff in a jurisdiction that doesn't even deal with English, and they know exactly what the hell he's talking about. Right? They frown on English speakers where he's at, because they're, the French jurisdiction. They don't got nothing to do with Ontario and all that stuff. Right? They're their own sovereign state. They have their own language and stuff like that. Regardless, top down, from federal to municipal, it's corruption here. Right? And it's not unknown, it's known. What's the people going to do about it? Are the people going to proclaim who they are? Put these people on notice and start governing themselves? Because trust me, the time is going to come. The time will come, guaranteed, when all these jurisdictions that have these people that violate people's rights, that call themselves police or whatever like that, the time is going to come when all those individuals, when they see Moors that are tried and true Moors, allodial thinking, constitutionally civic-minded Moors, when they engage them, it's going to be sorry, have a nice day. It's that already, just not in mass. Right? It's that already. And again, I put people on blast or whatever, but even brother Baba El, Brother Wasim, he been on right to travel. He ain't new or whatever. Been exercising right to travel. Been getting stopped by highwaymen. Have a nice day. Exercising right to travel. But that doesn't work though, and it's not real, and you need to have something from these people in order for you to whatever. Who played y'all? Oh, you're listening to corrupt people with fezzes on, or dumb Negro black color people who don't even, law doesn't even apply to them. So them having a perspective or opinion on law is self-defeating. And then dirty Moors who have fezzes on and turbans and buttons, Moorish American, you know what I mean, ribbons and sashes and stuff like that, talking about enforcing statutes and codes, not the Constitution, those are corrupt people. Which is why, again, these individuals have the power that they abuse. One, because the people haven't proclaimed who they are, so they're property of the state. Real simple. The ones who have proclaimed, like when you go to Moorish American 720 YouTube, they got videos up there showing you Moors exercising their rights and having no problems whatsoever. Zero problems. How come they have no problems? Why is it only certain Moors have problems? Like, keep in mind, Brother Lannery is not, he's not a problem. He's not complaining about he got kidnapped. Now, he told you the whole time that, yo, this is something divine. This is bigger than me getting kidnapped. Like, I'm just here, going through it. But there's something bigger going on. There's something divine happening with this happening. Right? Once you have that mentality of you're not trying to get something out and how is this going to work for me, and I hope that this works because I've been studying for 3 years this information, and you start going there, this stuff's never going to work. Because you're not looking at this like it's your birthright. You're looking at somebody gave you something. Somebody put you on. Somebody made you join something, and now because you joined to whatever, now you're really who you are. And you're supposed to be who you are before you go join whatever. How are you not who you are and then going and join something to be who you are? That's ass backwards. And anybody who's on that mentality, you're ass backwards. You need to take some steps back so you can face forward and then start moving. Right? There's no reason why it should be perceived negative when stuff like that happens. You know what I mean? Especially when the individual who's going through it sees the light at the end of the tunnel. Right? So, like we're explaining to people, that might have heard or whatever, what went down, you know what I mean? And they're justifying bail conditions. Well, if he wasn't, if he just would have did whatever, it's not, has nothing to do with that. The bail conditions are fraud. The fact that they had a speed trap set is fraud. Like what? So the area where they stopped them at, they're doing construction there, right? Because they're building, quote unquote, new subway system or whatever. Stuff they should have been did 20 years ago, they're trying to do now or whatever. So they're trying to build the subways, mad construction. So they have, okay, out here, red stoplight, you can make a right turn. You don't have to stop and wait or whatever, right? You can make a right turn, right on red. Ain't no issue, right? So what they did is that they put, okay, back up again. In this area that we're talking about, there's many one-way streets in this area where we're talking about, right? So the idea is to have signs in places where that people need to get to a certain street, but there's going to be a time that you can't go down this street, right? And the time that people are most going to travel down this street is when they're gonna have their guy there, highwayman, robbing people on the highway as they pass. So they put up a sign saying no right turn on this light that, you know, any normal day, you can right turn there. You're not even thinking sign there, no right turn, because it's a main artery of the quote unquote city. You're going to be able to make a right turn here. Always have. It's etched into people's mind that right turn here. Now they put a sign there, no right turn. Majority of people are going to turn anyways. So this corrupt activity, right? Setting up people, right? Quote unquote entrapment. Entrapment. Remember, these are the people who are supposed to be the law enforcers or whatever, but they're using entrapment. And then people are excusing the entrapment by calling them police and officer and whatever like that, giving them the authority to entrap people. And then the entrappers pulled over 3 people, but 2 people they let go and they just dealt with him. Right? Because you already know once they punch up the plate, the stuff's gonna come up. They already know, okay, yeah, this is the guy that we want. Because, you know, the prison industrial complex, the more stateless individuals you get, the more funds you get. Well, he wasn't stateless. So we know that this was a blatant attack on him being Moorish American. It's not he just got pulled over for nothing. Like he was targeted because of his stance against these people who call themselves police that aren't really a police. Everywhere, not just here. If there's somebody that calls themselves police where you're at, trust me, they're private security guards. They're not police. Because the only police is the sheriff. The only law enforcement is the sheriff and the people. As soon as the people realize that tyranny is going on, they become the militia, get these people out of office and put who you want in there. Just go check all the other countries. That's what they do. Because the people are the power. Everybody knows that everywhere in the world, except in North America, where people are, you know, lulled to sleep and think that, you know, they woke up in a reality. When they woke up in illusion. Calling corporations countries. You know what I mean? People being classified as property of the quote unquote country, which is really a corporation, which shows the supreme discard that these people have for humanity and life and living. Right? We had few questions. That we'll address right now once this damn thing opens. This question is from Azra Knight. How do Moors acquire property like vehicles or houses? Like if one is renting a house and just basic things one needs to know or where to study this info to live under colonization. Thank you. I will soon be a silly L. Love and light. Well, just because we're putting it on the record, a silly L, that's who you are. You are a silly L. Nationality is mindset first. So the fact that you know that you're not Ashley, you're a silly L, that's you making the stand of what your status is. Right? So there's no, you're gonna soon be that, if in your mind you know that you're that. If in your mind you know that you're a silly L, don't worry about what other people, you know, they want to call you Ashley still. And well, I'm not sure if that name, I can't change it. You know, I've known you for 20 years. I'm gonna still call you Ashley. Don't worry about them. Do you know who you are? Don't worry about them people. It's all about who you know. Right? You know yourself. If you know yourself, then you are a silly L. Right? Acquiring property like vehicles or houses. Right? Remember, just like anything else out here in this colonial jurisdiction, if you have the fiat, you can pay for it. If you can't pay for it, like Pops used to say, if you can't buy it 3 times, you don't need it. If you can't buy this thing 3 times that you say you want to buy, oh, I want a car. All right. Can you buy 3 of them? If not, you don't need that. Settle yourself. Oh, those shoes look so good or whatever. Could you buy 3 of those? You can't? Then don't even waste the money. So-called money. Right? To acquire quote-unquote property like vehicles or houses, it really is just pay for the stuff if you want it. Don't get into you know, claim houses and kick a door in, break a lock, go in there and file some papers with somebody, say this is your house now or whatever like that. Don't be doing that BS. Because to do that, to go that route of claiming houses or whatever, needs background, supreme background research before you even pick one of those places that you're going to go into. Because 99% of the time, you can talk to the city about the abandoned properties that they have on their roster or whatever, and you probably have access to them. That you don't even have to go through no issues of kicking in doors and doing stupid, crazy stuff, trying to be active. You know, being active doesn't include criminal activity. Being active doesn't mean, well, run stop signs. When you run over somebody's child, you're gonna have to deal with that for running stop sign, because you say you're Moorish national, you don't have to follow the rules of the road. Well, you know, that's for everybody's protection, not just your dumb ass that wants to pretend like you have some supreme authority. You run red lights just because, like you're in some action movie or something, right? You are making payments on a mortgage or something like that. Have supreme knowledge before you start exercising standing on mortgage fraud. Because trust me, when you start messing with these people's money, they're going to attack you. Guaranteed. By you saying, I don't want to pay tax, you're messing with their money. By you saying, I don't want to pay for this item because, you know, if this is a debt system, everything's paid for, you're messing with their money. Remember, to them, money's fiat. Gold, silver, oil, all that stuff is natural resources. To them, money's fiat. So if you're messing with their fiat, believe me, they're going to attack you. Right? If you have a car payment that you've been paying for the past 5 years, and then there's another 5 years on it, and you realize about this information about, oh wow, you know, discharge debts and stuff like that, you challenge them, they're gonna send that lady to come pick the car up, and they'll just cancel your stuff and then tell you that you owe what's left over, even though you don't have the stuff anymore, because you're dealing with criminals. You identified it yourself, living under colonization. These people have colonized, right? Again, studious Moors. One of the Moors, Brother Yusuf, was telling me earlier about the quote-unquote 13 colonies being identified as colonies, right? They were identified as colonies. How they become states? What do you mean states? They're colonies still. They're still all colonies. He's talking about they're going from seaboard to seaboard. That's called colonization because they're foreigners here. How they get so far inland? How they get so far inland that they're on the other seaboard? Clearly they colonized. So being that we're living under colonization, it's in your best interest to know your rights. Not just exercise them because you know them. Know your rights before you even talk about exercising anything. And if you're talking about know your rights, then you have to know, you have to get some kind of natal chart or something like that done. Right? You have to do that if you're talking about know your rights. You can't talk about rights, but you don't know, your rising and, what sign you are and, what, moons affect you and stuff like that. You can't claim to be national and not at least have a birth chart. Because that's part of knowing who you are, right? Before you start exercising. And we understand, it's rough. We know that it's rough. You know what I mean? But it's a lot more rough when you do things without knowledge. Things must be done with a full concept, not quarter concept, not half concept. You have to fully comprehend what it means to quote unquote claim a house, what it means to right to travel. You have to fully comprehend it in your mind as a reality before you can, if it's still in your mind as studying it and trying to figure it out and whatever, don't be implementing anything. You can't be implementing this half knowing. Right? You have to have full knowledge. You have to fully know how to tie your shoelace. Right? Before you talking about show off people is tie your shoelace. Right? Because you look stupid when, you can't do it. After talking BS about, look at these and all that. Right? But this is not, you're not coming into nationality and birthrights to claim vehicles and houses. You're coming into nationality and birthrights because you know that you can be a better citizen. You know that you've been not living up to the code of citizenry. Right? You haven't been living as a civilian because you didn't know any law. So don't tell me about you were a citizen of anything. You haven't even read the Constitution. But we hear about claim houses and then we want to get all the information on that. We hear about trust and we want to know all the trust manuals that are out there. When you got Constitution sitting there that is supposed to be your first line of defense in dealing with these people. Not putting your stuff in trust. That's not how you protect your property. You protect your property by enforcing the Constitution on these people who've been violating. Because the real violation is them abusing power. The real violation is us saying, well, we're Moors, claim houses or whatever, right? But you didn't once consider that the house is on land. Why not claim the land instead of the house? And then you have everything. Why not claim that you're a national so you're on your own land. This way you can right to travel because you're in your own land is why you can right to travel. Not because you got a card or because you have some papers that say right to travel, somebody sealed it and witnessed it, and you have Moorish plates is why you're able to right to travel. You're able to right to travel because you're in your own jurisdiction where, you know, you should have an office entity, you know, Moorish Science Temple or whatever, right? That is the administration that you go to for whatever it is that, you know, you seek as a national. You know, and remember, this thing was already established, 1913, so we're not talking about something new. Right? And the fact that we're coming in to this information, wanting to be Moors, knowing about, you know, El and Bay and Al, and, you know, we can claim property and we have right to travel, and, you know what I mean, these people are criminals and they're violating this and that, blah, blah, and no mention of Noble Juali and honors to him, and, you know, that's missing. Stuff's definitely not going to work. Definitely not going to work. So when coming into this information, don't get antsy. Don't get fidgety because you realize you know something and you've been getting played for the past all your life. Don't get fidgety, right? Because really that's lower self. And get you do something that you're not prepared for what the outcome might be after you make your move, right? Because you really don't know the diabolical nature of these people. You really think that you're going to send some papers to them and they're just going to yield because, you know, this thing sounds so good, or I read this book and it makes so much sense. There's so many places that I can reference to prove that this is fact, that these people are going to go with this. No, they're not going to go with it. They are colonizers. They are inquisitionists. They are mercenaries. They are policy enforcers. And all they are about is enforcing their policy. And as soon as you step up and you're contrary to their policy, now you're a threat to the entire system. Because all it takes is one individual to inspire millions. It doesn't take millions to inspire millions. All it takes is one. The right one. To inspire millions, and then stuff's over. Right? Like, I rent. I'm renting. Because under private necessity, this is what's best. Because, you know, houses out here are going for $1 million. Right? That's base. You're looking at 700,000 to $1 million for a house out here. That's standard. Like, they got big stuff out here, people complaining about they can't even live, and, you know, university students complaining about it. Well, when I go to university, I wouldn't even, a house is a fleeting dream because I wouldn't even be able to afford a house. Even though I got my degree or whatever like that, 5 masters and stuff like that, I wouldn't even be able to afford a house. Because it's crazy out here as far as housing. But, you know, I look at it, you know, Allah's will got me in on an apartment before they started charging for hydro and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Before they started doing this craziness with putting people's rent up. You know what I mean? Like, I'm on a grandfather lease, they call it, where, you know, my stuff is how it is from the inception until I move. So while people are, you know, at, you know, over $1,000 for a 1-bedroom, I'm way below that. And again, I've had issues with them trying to up rent, you know what I mean, not fix this, not fix that. Oh, quick rip. CC landlord tenant board or whatever. Oh, these people come fix stuff tomorrow. But they said that, oh, they were backed up. They couldn't come fix nothing. All of a sudden they could fix stuff. And then writs are getting sent in Free National, X-Relation, right? Near the so-called jurisdiction that they're claiming is their building or whatever like that. You know what I mean? And, you know, you get what it is. You know what I mean? Our floor is always clean and all that stuff because, you know, as soon as I see a paper, I'm going to call these people, you guys a paper out here. Somebody needs to come clean this paper. Right? Because I'm the tenant. You know, no different than the customer. Customer is always right. What are you arguing with me about? When I'm the customer, I'm the one who pays you. Right? You know, utility people or whatever. Same thing. You know, if you really, you know what I mean, you know, don't want the service, cut it off and see how good they treat you. How much deals you get threatening to cut them off and go with somebody else. End up paying something cheaper than you would have been paying. You know, just for now. Because, you know, we're under colonization. And you're gonna, you know, you're gonna have to deal with some aspect of them. You know what I mean? They're gonna come pick up your garbage. You know what I mean? Like, you don't want them to. You can tell them not to do it. But then, you know, now you got issues of, you know, well, you know, you gotta burn trash in your yard now, and then now they want to call highwaymen for that. But you could have just made these clowns come pick up the stuff. Instead of trying to, you know what I mean, go over and beyond to exercise your right of whatever. Just let these guys do, you know, they're providing a service. Why not take the service and get the job done? Instead of having hassles with these people. I mean, instead of having issues with them. Unneeded issues. Issues that's only going to put you further back and have them, because they're getting paid when they're dealing with you. You're not getting paid. Any engagement you have as far as seeking remedy for some type of whatever, they're always getting paid. We are never getting paid. That's why our interaction with them should be very minimal. Because as soon as they stop us from being able to bill them, now we're stuck with the bill. Because guaranteed we had to lose some type of days or whatever like that in order to even deal with these people. Right? Again, because they're entrappers. Taxes is entrapment. You have to use social security number for a job or whatever is entrapment. You need license to drive, that's entrapment. That's how they do. Because they're criminals, they're colonizers. So pace yourself. This is a marathon, not a sprint. Coming into nationality and birthrights is deep sea diving, not swimming pool swimming. Right? This is snorkeling, scuba gear. This is not just put on with a hat and then jump in the pool. Right? Because we can't, you know, there's no, you know, well, how do I, whatever, you know what I mean? If that's the case, right? If that's the case, then we know that, like, if we have so much things going on in our life that we can't focus on studying this information, right? Then you probably want to put this down for a little bit and handle your BS that you're dealing with. Because having this information and going through BS, logically you're going to try to take this because it sounds so good and it tastes so good that you're going to try to, you know what I mean, put this on everything. When, you know, this sauce doesn't go on everything. Because there's certain things that, you know, there's certain nigger stuff that we got ourselves into that we got to deal with. The corporate state's not just going to yield because you found out about your more. That ain't happening. You know what I mean? Especially when you weren't talking tough and stuff like that in the dead status. Right? All of a sudden you're talking tough right now. You don't want to go there with these people, right? Because they have their way of making sure that they always have you on your heels. Always. Why? Because we are not standing on a solid foundation when we deal with them, so they can get us on our heels. How you get a solid foundation? By studying. Stop trying to do stuff, right, that you don't have full knowledge about. Nothing's wrong with doing stuff when you have full knowledge. If you don't have full knowledge, you shouldn't be doing anything. You should be putting time into study. That's why so many Moors put time in to study, and they keep telling people, you know what I mean, study, study, study. But people think this is not study. You can just do stuff, right? Keep in mind, Noble Drew Ali was a mastermind. The reason for studying so much is to free you from mental slavery that you have right now. That's the reason behind studying. The reason behind studying is to create new neural pathways in your brain. The reason of meditation, the reason of the higher disciplines that we're supposed to be involved in as more scientists, deal with the workshop of the mind, not anything external that you're doing, because everything external is corrupt if the mind is. If the mind's not working right, ain't nothing physical working right. You don't even have to attempt. You don't even have to try. Don't even waste your time exercising something if you're not sure in your mind what it is. Right? Atabe Yaya L. Greetings, sons and stars. What documents am I to show the Social Security Office for my appellation change? Do I add cis in front of the appellation, Islam? Now, again, it's coming back to, actually, you know what? We're not even gonna, we'll just go to RV Bay Publications, since this is our foundation, right? This is not even studying stuff. This is, you order stuff from RV Bay, you get this. This is just what you get, right? This is why we tell people, make sure you go to rvbaypublication.com, show support, because, you know, you might think that you order just a book, but you're probably going to get a little more than you bargained for. Not just because, you know what I mean? Like, that's just what it is. That's what it's always been, right? So this is, again, RV Bay Publications promotional, educational, distribution pamphlet. It's not, you know what I mean? Like, this is just the pamphlet that they send out when you make an order, since you're asking about Social Security. Comprehensive response to request for SSN. I am not a member of the Private Social Security Administration Corporation. Therefore, I do not have a social insurance policy, and I do not participate in the Social Security Voluntary Contribution System. Thus, there is no SSN to provide. However, because I am not a member of the Private Social Insurance Corporation and do not have a Social Security insurance policy number, is not a reason to deny any right, privilege, or service, because doing so causes moral duress. If you have an SSN, you do not have to provide it. Right of privacy is a personal right designed to protect a person from unwanted disclosure of personal information. So even though that's a corporate card, that's personal. And anybody who is asking you for that Because the only reason that you're thinking put nationality on the social security is because people ask for that. Well, them asking for that is a violation of your privacy. Because that social insurance number, social security number, out here, I don't know about where y'all are at. Out here, the social insurance number people tell you don't give it out when you go get it. Well, what if it's for a job? Don't give out your social security number. Well, what if it's for... Don't give up. That's all they keep repeating. This is private. You don't have to give this if asked for it. So if the social security people are telling you don't give it out, and then job says, well, we need it, and you give it, what just happened? What just happened? Oh, they just violated you. Your privacy. But, you know, you need the job. Right? I mean, you know, you need the job, so you give them the social or whatever, you know. Now, if you are in the position of saying, you know, I want to change that or whatever, all right, you know, what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to take your paperwork, nationality proclamation paperwork, you file it in the county recorder's office. The county recorder's office is going to file it and then give you a number. You take your paperwork to the same office or whatever like that, because don't forget, they're under the county. County supersedes them. So anything county says, they're supposed to go with. So now you're supposed to go to them with your filed county recorder number to the Social Security, whoever people, and then you're supposed to give them that, and then they're supposed to change the stuff, give you a new card and your new name, and it's not no issue. It's issue because, you know, these people are corporations. They're colonists, they're inquisitionists, they're mercenaries. They don't give a hoot about rights. All they care about is their statutes, code, ordinances, bylaws, whatever. So as soon as you approach them on a certain level, right? Because remember, that Social Security card is not yours, never ever was yours. Has nothing to do with you. Out of private necessity is the only reason why we've been using these things. But those are not our stuff. So there's nothing for you to get. Like, for example, you're not socially secured being a Moor with a Social Security card. Because you're based on your nationality, you're not going to be taxed. If you're not going to be taxed, then they're not going to be taking out anything to put into Social Security, whatever, for you to be able to have something from Social Security. For you to be able to get something, whatever they say that they're offering because you have a job. Whatever they say they're doing because you have a job. Well, if you say that you're a Moorish national and you have a Social Security number, that's not... Now, you're a Moorish American with a Social Security number that wasn't tied to that name. It was tied to another name before. Part of their construct. And then you took your free national name and replaced it with the name of them. Right? Now they're using your power. Because before, they were sucking off of an empty straw. Now, they're sucking off of a straw with blood. Because your free national name's on there now. They're not dealing with a corporate entity anymore that's part of the Social Security administration or whatever. They're now dealing with an actual real entity now. Before they were sucking nothing. Now they're getting real blood now. Now they can really vampire you. Just with the name being on there. Not even because of anything else. And again, remember, it's because of them being more corrupt why you want to remove yourself from putting yourself in their jurisdiction like that. Because on top of these people being mercenaries and all that stuff, remember, they're also occultists. So they're looking at things totally different than how you're looking at it. They're not looking at it how we're looking at it, shallow, surface, whatever. Their stuff is deep how they're looking at it. And the depth that they're looking at it is why we're abused on the surface. The depth that they have of the perspective of a license and a social security whatever and a mortgage and a car payment and a ownership is why people are violated on the surface with these instruments. Because it's way more than they even imagined that it was. They think it's just a card. When these people are like, it's like when they told everybody, you know, watch out for Illuminati. They're gonna put the chip in your hand and the chip in your forehead and revelations of the Bible and whatever like that. And everybody's sitting there waiting for, you know what I mean, RFID and all that type of stuff. Then they got some people. Oh yeah, some people got it. Some people, you know, they injected somebody in North Dakota or whatever like that. Some guy in whatever, ex-military guy has his own gun. He shot himself with his stuff because to protect their dog. They're going to shoot FID. And nobody caught the play that they made all your cards that you got on your possession with chips. Phone got chipped. Bank card got chipped. Credit card got chipped. License got chipped. Passport got chipped. And then everybody got chipped. And nobody now realized that it's already done. You're sitting there waiting to get RFID, but you got a wallet with a chip in it. And they talk about they're not, oh no, we're not involved in that. They're not gonna get me or whatever. You got a phone? Yeah. What do you mean they're not gonna get you? What are you talking about? What are you talking about? You're off the grid, you got a phone. What do you mean? What do you mean you're off the grid, you got internet? Right? These things are regulated. So they know exactly who's who, what's what, where, whatever. That's why, you know what I mean, again, going back to Noble Drew Ali's lessons, why he told us stand on squares. He told us certain things. For us to be able to maneuver. Because once we're standing on right, they don't have an excuse to violate. Because we're standing on right. And if they violate when we're standing on right, then that lets us know that these people are corrupt. Because if we're standing on right, there's no need to violate. Now, you know, if you're standing on wrong, sure, you know, throw cuffs on, do whatever it is that you got to do. Because, you know, I'm violating. But if I'm not violating, if I'm standing pure, 5 principles, nationality, birthrights. I mean, not a club, join up to something or whatever like that. I'm who I say I am. I am that I am. And you're squared up. There's not supposed to be any issues with these people. Zero. It's not supposed to be an issue of social security numbers or anything like that. Because nationality card supersedes all that, all them cards. Nationality card alone should stand as everything. Social, driver's license, passport, everything going down the line. Anything that those people issue as a card, that's it, you need that card in order to whatever. Nationality card supposed to be the card that covers all those. But people have been trained that nationality card is membership in some temple of some BS. When if it's a nationality card, it should be tied to a nation, not some organization. Why would it be tied to an organization if it's a nationality card? You know what I mean? It makes no sense, but, you know, people set their stuff up. Brother Nelson, oh, it's a Canaanland one. Could you tell me where the temple is located? I live in North York, and I watched the YouTube, but now my higher self wanted us to be part of the movement. I'm about to buy property, and I know that the whole process is fraud. So I need to know what I don't know. All right. So it starts with recognizing that this is not about property. This is not about plates and cards and whatever else people have been telling you it's about, or what you've assumed that it's about. This is about man coming to the mindset of his ancient foremothers and forefathers and getting out of mental slavery. And then once you do that, then all the other stuff is going to fall into place how it's supposed to. Because this is not wayward. This is not because you got because you got situation, now this information seems like how you're going to get out of the situation. As you start going down that road, that's an endless road. Because this is about nationality and birthrights and knowing who you are and knowing how much we've been played out of our nationality and birthrights based on us not knowing about it. Because trust, if we knew about it, half the stuff wouldn't happen, which, is why I get where you're saying you need to know what you don't know. Well, in order to know what you don't know, that means that you need to study. And if you have something like buy property and stuff like that, the best thing that I would suggest, being new to this information, is that you first learn about the laws that govern contracts. What contracts are, what contracts are not, and learning how to deal with contracts. You can find that information on rvbaypublications.com and other publishedinfo.net. morrisdirectory.com. Sift through these sites, study. One gem that I can give you is any signing of any documents moving forward from you seeing this video, you must start the practice of reserving your rights when you sign anything. Right? Reserving your rights means that you are a national in your own land. Somebody has colonized their land and is trying to impose on you regulations. Being that it's occupation, they like to do things extreme to make their point. So they don't use you to make your point. You reserve your rights until you have a sure footing as to what it is you're involved in. For example, you're talking about buying property, right? You might not want to buy the property yet if you're not in full comprehension of, what is property and how is property related to status, how is property related to rights, how is property related to colonists and mercenaries, right? How are they looking at property opposed to how are you looking at property, right? Understanding mortgage fraud and why it's a fraud and things like that. All these areas of study has to be looked at, like we were saying before, in its entirety. You're not going to have Cujo tell you some stuff about how to buy property and then you're just going to do it because Cujo said that this is how it's done and he knows a more that did it this way and it worked for that more. That's not going to get you anywhere, because it's about the individual knowing. It's about you taking your place amongst the affairs of men based on the knowledge that you have. If you do not have knowledge, do not exercise. If somebody said do whatever and you didn't fact check 50 times, don't exercise. Right? But the temple is located at 2533A Eglinton Avenue West. Sundays, 1 o'clock to approximately 4 o'clock. Being that where you're at, you're looking at Kiel and Eglinton area. Just east of Kiel on Eglinton Avenue West. And again, you know, it's good to get an email from somebody in Canaanland, you know what I mean, that they're watching videos and they're studying and they want to find out more. So that's an amazing thing. Glad that the word's getting out. And, you know, soon time, Brother Ronald will definitely press palms. Now, couple more questions. Not too much more there. And for everybody who's listening in, don't forget the Canaanland Moors email, Canaanland, CANAANLAND guide, GUIDE, Canaanland guide @gmail.com. Sister Melanin Queen sends her regards to the Moors, and she had some information that she wanted to share. The article is on a website called baystatebanner.com. Baystate, B-A-Y, statebanner.com. And the article is about Harvard leadership acknowledging university slaves. In a book titled Harvard and Slavery, Seeking a Forgotten History by Sven Beckert, S-V-E-N-B-E-C-K-E-R-T, and Catherine Stevens, and the students of the Harvard Slavery Research Seminar, page 10 states that Moor was a common term for African slaves. Let me take a sip of this. It's Harvard, huh? Harvard Slavery Research Seminar. Harvard, like you mind black scholars, black leaders, and all this stuff with, you know, African slaves, right? Harvard Slavery Research Seminar on page 10 states that Moor was a common term for African slaves. Moor was a common term for African slaves. These Europeans don't know who you are? You're calling yourself Africans and slaves and African Americans and African Canadians and black and Negro colored and all that stuff, when the Harvard Slavery Research Seminar came to the conclusion that Moor is a common term for African slaves, but they don't want to be Moors. They want to stay African slaves. The first apparent mention of a slave on Harvard's campus occurred not long after the Desiree's arrival. In 1639, the wife of Harvard first schoolmaster Nathaniel Eaton confessed to a committee that her husband had mismanaged the college. Among the offenses of his tenure was the time a person she called the Moor slept in student Samuel Howe's sheet and pillow beer. She also admitted that students complained about having to eat the same food as quote-unquote the Moor. Drawn from the Spanish name of North Africans, Moor was a common term for African slaves. For example, Emmanuel Downing, a correspondent of colonial governor John Winthrop, suggested that the colony could not thrive until we get a stock of slaves sufficient to do all our business. I suppose you know very well, he advised Winthrop, how we shall maintain 20 Moors cheaper than one English servant. If the Moor was indeed a slave, he was likely the first to be connected to Harvard. Many more followed. The Moor and Increase Mather's Spaniard were part of what historian Ira Berlin has called North America's charter generation of slaves. Think these people don't know? Harvard and Slavery, Seeking a Forgotten History by Sven Beckert, Svenbeckert, and Catherine Stevens. Islam to Sister Melanin for that. And again, you know, and this is 2016 that this went down, this honoring of 4 black slaves, where one of them was referred to as the Moor. One was referred to as the Moor, right? So they know what's up. They might play that they don't know what's up, but they know what's up. Guaranteed they know what's up, right? Now we wanted to put a plug in there for our closeout. MSTA9, MSTA the number 9.com, MSTA9.com, and today we're going to be plugging Womanhood, A Deeper Appreciation for Womanhood by Sister T. Alendi L. You know, she plays, you know, modest and stuff like that, you know. But she goes in this thing right here. Right? And again, this is just to put out there, you know, to inspire the mothers, you know, that you can do it too. You know what I mean? You don't have to leave it up to the sons. You can, you know, teach us out the womb. You know, and we need it. Right? More than ever before. Right? A deeper appreciation for womanhood. And this is page 33. Misery. Thine own passions is the source of our misery. In the Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America, we learn about the tools of the workshop of the mind. And one of the tools that we learn about is the compass. Ones have clearly stopped using the compass. We can clearly see that when we look around. There was a time when a brother would wear 1 chain and 1 medallion. Now brothers are out here wearing 5 and 6 chains around their neck. There was a time when if a woman would get their breasts done, she was abnormal. But now women are getting the injections in their lips, face, steroid shots in their butts, hips, and thighs. What is wrong with the society that we are living in? And if we don't start applying the tools, what is it going to be like for our children? Our passions are overboard. Ones start measuring their wants based on lives of others. That breeds misery. And the thing about misery is ones will not acknowledge that they are miserable. If you have something in your life that you are unhappy about, no matter how small or extreme, that is a form of misery. If you don't like your job, your spouse, your education level, your home, your height, your weight, your looks, etc., that's all misery. Many people don't realize that they are miserable because there is a condition called comfortable miserable. That's when ones have something that they don't like but don't do anything to change it. They just hope for something to happen. It's like those old shoes. They are not good to look at, but they're comfortable. You could get new ones, but you don't. You do things out of habit. How miserable do things have to get in order to change? We have our way out of misery. The prophet tells us that the thought is the cause of it all. If you don't like something in your life, change how you think about it. But the thing about that is you must start off by being honest with yourself, because you cannot change something that you are not acknowledging about yourself. We all have had something in our life that we complain about or that has brought us misery. We have to put a death to our misery, because if we don't put an end to your misery, you are going to have a miserable life. Misery loves company. That's why ones need to be mindful of the company we keep. There's a quote that says, "Friends are like a mirror, reflecting the truth about ourselves." So let's reflect on the ones that we are spending time with. Some of us may have discovered ourselves most plainly. So if you are unhappy, and whom you spend your time with is unhappy, you might need to flee from them, because the devil is trying every weak mind. If you're in misery, your will is not strong, and miserable people cannot uplift the nation. Miserable people can only go to and fro the earth, seeking whom they may devour. Remember, things are only as bad as you think they are. Much can be changed by thought, by ideas, by energy, as is what in turn manifests energy into the physical. It is up to each person to realize this and apply it. You manifest the reaction or action of every situation. The knowledge to life, to the universe, is realizing that you are energy in the physical, that you are one with all in the universe, and that you can change the things in life and in the world. All disease manifests first in your energy body because of stress and impurities in the environment. The same thing is found in nature when there is an imbalance. This is the knowledge healers have known since the beginning, and now modern medicine is beginning to recognize this as a reality. You have the ability to heal yourself. You can regenerate and repair itself if aligned with the natural universal energy. The key is to remain positive and utilize intention in that you are healed and can heal yourself. When you realize the truth and awaken, you will no longer be victim to any destructive perpetual cycle and will be able to balance your energy and become free. It is happening whether you believe it or not. The knowledge is right there in front of you at all times, waiting for you to become one with it and become who you truly are. Reality is what you make it. It is infinite in possibilities and abundant for all. The knowledge is infinite. Once again, the knowledge is right there in front of you at all times, waiting for you to become one with it and become who you truly are. The knowledge is waiting for you, because that's your fam who's supposed to assist you. All the information that we have as Moorish Americans, right? When we talk about know thyself, when Moors talk about know thyself, every individual who's studious, that's Moorish American, knows how exhilarating and exciting it is to get a new book. How alluring it is to reach into an index and look up more, and they got 20 pages listed that Moors referenced in this book. Hearing things, Maghrib al-Aqsa, and then hearing people reference these things that we might have got from a book or whatever in real time, letting us know that, oh well, this stuff from 1800s, 1700s, 1600s, 1400s, this stuff that we're finding out about is actually still applicable. If people have it at the front of their mind, history of the Moors, that you ask them, they're just running it off to you, and they don't look like you, clearly we need to know something more. We don't know enough, right? Reality is what you make it. It is infinite in possibilities and abundant for all. The knowledge is infinite. Each day is a new day, a chance to change, a chance to learn and grow. Each day is a new beginning, a new choice to make up and experience life in all its beauty. We each have years of conditioning to break through to reach this understanding. The only constant is change. We are each responsible for our own emotions, actions, and feelings. It is the key we each claim personal responsible, and it is key we each claim personal responsibility for ourselves and all our choices. We each have years of conditioning to break through, to reach this understanding. The only constant is change. We are each responsible for our own emotions, actions, and feelings. And it is key we each claim personal responsibility for ourselves and all of our choices, the good, the bad, and the ugly. MSTA 9, MSTA number 9.com. You can get Sister's book, A Deeper Appreciation for Womanhood. I suggest all the mothers go out and support and pick this book up, because trust me, it's going to teach you something about yourself. Guaranteed you will learn something. Why? Because it's not one of your sons telling you, it's one of your sisters telling you. And we've come to the realization that sisters are going to influence sisters a lot better than a brother is going to influence her. Because there's something about the sisters and the mothers, there's something about them that, they're ready for this. You know what I mean? They're waiting for us. And then we're not ready, we're waiting for them. So, honors to the Grand Shikas for stepping up and, in order to change the people, changing their literature. And again, you can also, on the same website, MSTA 9, you can also get Moorish World History, Virginia edition by the Grand Sheik, Kerry LNDL, so that you can, mainly support Moors who are, doing something to help change our people's mindset, right? And two, to get knowledge, because that's what we die for a lack of. So Islam to all the Moors. Where there's going to be no Sons of Allah this week, because we're doing the out of town thing this weekend. There's going to be no class Sunday, but we'll be back live next week with Canaanland Moors class. Don't forget MHHS, Eyes Wide Open, live and direct at 9:30 p.m. Eastern time. And your call-in number 425-569-5201, 425-569-5201, and or 347-945-5899.